Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders. GMS rule well. Uh, peace and salutation to the elect. My name is Ainon. The title of this video is Global News Highlights. All right, so we're back again in the news, measuring the time diligently in itself, watching for the signs mentioned in the scriptures, right? Prophesied in the scriptures that will be taking place here in these last days, right? Which is ushering in the end, right? We're waiting on something. We're waiting to be delivered, right? It's saved by Yahweh Shai because a great destruction is coming, right? So we want to, walk circumspectly, and knowing the time that we're living in, so we're prepared, right? And that day doesn't catch us as a thief in the night, and being unprepared and not ready, and possibly, left behind. All right. So once again, we're in this DeepSeek, which is an artificial intelligence, something like ChatGPT. I asked it, what is the major news worldwide in the past 24 hours? So it's basically breaking news, from the point where, or half the point where you went to sleep and you woke up, busy or not, whatnot. So I asked it that question and it gave me 5 points today, right? So let me grab a second Esdras. And then we'll just get into these little article points here. It's the second Esdras chapter 9, verse 1. It says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it's the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Right. So we're looking for the signs, right? It says, therefore when there shall be seen earthquakes and upwards of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the day that were before thee, even from the beginning. It says, for like as all that's made in the world have to make a beginning and an end, the end is manifest, right? And that's exactly where we're at, right? And that's why the scriptures say in Ezekiel 33, you grab it, then they'll know a prophet have been among them, because the warning is going out pursuant to right. The warning has gone out, pursuant to the things written in scriptures, and relating to the times that we're living in. This is Ezekiel 33. And 30, it says also, this is Ezekiel 33 and 27. It says, say thou thus unto them, right, to our people. It says, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai, as I live, surely they that are in the waste shall fall by the sword, and him that is in the open field will I give to the beast to be devoured. And they that be in the forts and in the cave shall die of the pestilence. Right, so the Most High Yahweh knows about your bunkers, your shelters, and all that. You can trap right up in there and die. You're gonna run out of food. If you got food in there, you're gonna run out. You don't eat that thing quick. It says, for I will lay the land most desolate, and the pomp of her strength shall cease, and the mountains of Israel shall be desolate, that none shall pass through. Right. Ultimately, this points towards the time that we're living in now. Right. The captivity that we're in America, right? The tribes, are going to be going through it, and also the people in America are going to be going through it. It says, then shall they know that I am the Lord Yahweh, when I have laid the land most desolate because of all their abominations which they have committed. It says also, thou son of man, the children of thy people still are talking against thee by the walls and in the doors of the houses, and speak one to another, every one to his brother, saying, come, I pray you, and hear what is the word that cometh forth from the Lord Yahweh. And they come unto thee, hey, and it says it right there. It says the word that cometh forth from Yahweh, right? And then it says what? In the very next verse, it says, and they come unto thee as the people cometh and they sit before thee as my people, and they hear thy words, but they will not do them, right? And what we're telling you to do is turn back to the Lord, repent, right? And rehearse these righteous acts written in the scriptures. Try your best to keep the high holy days, the feast days, your Sabbath, keep the laws, the statutes, and the commandments of the best of your ability. It says, and they come unto thee as the people cometh, and they sit before thee as my people, and they hear thy words, but they will not do them. For with their mouth they show much love, but their heart goeth after their covetousness. Right. So as you individuals walk by and say, I salute you, brothers, you're doing a good thing, whatever you might want to say, It says, and lo, thou art unto them as a very lovely song of one that hath a pleasant voice. It can play well on an instrument, for they hear thy words, but they do them not. And when this comes to pass, lo, it will come. Then shall they know that a prophet hath been among them, right? And the elder apostles, right, of GMS and the men on down been prophesying that these beasts will be tearing people up, for a while. And now Trump is surrounding the attention centers with beasts, So hey, that's the time we live in, and it's only gonna intensify because these are the beginning of sorrow. It's just beginning, right? It's gonna get real bloody. All right, and Lord willing, it's going to get bloody quick. So we get up out of here. All right, so in this news now, point 1 says Israel, Hamas, and Middle East tensions. So this thing is popping off over here in the Middle East. You have Israel, right, who's the antagonizer over here in this area because pursuant to the Balfour Declaration, they signed this paper allowing Israel to be over there and also the Palestinians to be over there. So what they're doing here in these last days is going against every type of treaty and piece of paper they writ up, to help themselves get to the position that they're in now. Now they're just, bypassing. They don't care about it. Right. And the nation is like, well, we was copying and following your laws and all your papers and your treaties for forever. And now you just, ripping it up and tossing out the window. Right. So anyway, Israel is, been the antagonizer, and they're coming up on a date, which is July, I believe it's the 15th, where they need to explain what they've been doing over there. And from in the past, every time a situation like that happened, Israel did something to allow themselves not to go to court or whatnot, So something big might, happen, or not even big. He might just, attack whoever else, in the area, do, a major strike on somebody. It might not be Iran, it could be Iran. Who knows? So, but that's the time we're living in. Even the thought of just saying it could be Iran, we are here. So anyway, Gaza ceasefire talks are set to resume in Doha amid ongoing Israeli airstrikes, right? And it was been reports that those cease talks is not doing anything. And the scriptures clearly say when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them, and that's what they're in, right? Trump came into office and trying to issue forth this peace. Stop wars in 24 hours. He wants to denuclearize, right? He wants to bring everybody to the table and make a deal. The scriptures say riches will profit not in the day of wrath, right? And the scriptures also say that these nations will not regard silver nor gold in these last days, right? So Gaza ceasefire talks are set to resume in Doha amid ongoing Israeli airstrikes, which have killed at least 38 Palestinians in the past day. And the number is forever increasing. It's every day, all day, killing. That's what they're doing. This Hezbollah leader refuses to disarm until Israel withdraws from the southern Lebanon, right? So this war, it's only going to intensify because this dude in Israel has been talking about the things that he's talking about for a very long time, right? And now he feel like it's his time to actually achieve that goal. Okay. So Hezbollah leader refuses to disarm until Israel withdraws from the southern Lebanon, escalating tensions along the Israel-Lebanon border. So they're going to continue until Israel says no more greater Israel. That's what they're basically saying. No more greater Israel. Stop killing the Palestinians. Iran's supreme leader made his first public appearance since the Iran-Israel war, attending a mourning ceremony, right? Because Israel, the antagonizer over there in the area, was saying that they would kill this guy, and Trump was saying it too. We know exactly where he's at. He's safe for now. That's what they were saying, things like that. So point 2, That was point one. Point two says U.S. and global politics. Trump imposes new tariffs, 25% on Japan and South Korea. It says 40% on Myanmar, Lois. Okay, so these are different areas. Trump, hey, you seen Trump tariff list? It's a big list. It says and threatens a 10% BRICS tariff if policies turn anti-American. Yeah, so they don't want to go out of power. They don't want to lose the power that they have. They want to keep control over what's happening, and that's what's going to lead them to do the things. Look at Israel. Israel is, every time this man talks, he's in fear that his enemies will come up against him and attack, or they need to strike first. That's what Benjamin Netanyahu says all the time. And as you can see, him and Trump is aligned with each other. Now Trump is talking about anti-American. Israel is talking about anti-Semitic. And so, and that whole BRICS thing is totally anti-America, because they're trying to get away from the dollar because all of these different policies. It says Netanyahu nominates Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize, citing his role in Middle East diplomacy. I think we all laughed at that one, because those two guys went over there and bombed Iran, and they did it deceitfully by doing peace talks. And in the midst of the peace talks, use that peace talk to attack their enemies. So it says Brazil's Lula criticizes Trump trade policies, urging alternatives to the U.S. dollar in global trade. That's how anti-American. That's how anti-American. Because Brazil is part of BRICS, right? That's what the B stands for. And BRICS, Brazil. And Brazil is saying we need alternatives to the U.S. dollar in global trade. So that is very anti-American, and that's why the people are saying in Habakkuk 2. Habakkuk 2 and I'm sorry, 1. It says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what you will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord Yahweh will answer me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon the tables, that he may run that readeth it. So the prophets, the evil Lord, are back here today with the correct message, spreading the message to the lost sheep house of Israel, that the hope that through that the hopeful elect may wake up and return back to the Heavenly Father and be delivered, from the things to come. So you need the correct vision. The scriptures say, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. So you need the 100% truth, right? And I always say, that you're going to get 100% truth from the men of GMS, from Elder Hofstahar on down, right? So that's what you should be watching. Verse 3 says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, that the end shall speak and not lie, though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. So Esau even is wicked, and the elect, the hopeful elect, is righteous. It says, yeah, also because he transgressed by wine, he is a proud man. And that's pretty much what I was just wanting to. This wine goes into his policies, like his laws, the things that he has set up. It says, yeah, also because he transgressed by wine, he is a proud man, not to keep it at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathers unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. So Trump doesn't want to hear anti-American, sayings, anything like that, because he wants to continue to enlarge himself, continue to control the world, and bring in this new world order, right, where America will be ruling, the global elites will be ruling, right, and they're currently ruling out of America. It says in verse 6, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, how long, and to him that lateth himself with big clay, right? And that's what the nations are screaming. They're saying, because What Donald Trump is coming in, he wants Greenland to name it red, white, and blue land. He wanted the Gulf of America, which he got because that lady over there is not a Mexican. She's not a Jew at all, just like Benjamin, not a Jew, right? He wanted the Panama Canal, which I believe through the lobbyists, they got it, right? Uh, um, and other things that they're trying to get, Taiwan, and now they're trying to get Greater Israel. Russia is taking land from Ukraine now. That's a problem, because they had the land, but now the land has been taken away. Yeah, so it's a lot of anti-American things going on. So point three, it says disasters and climate events. Texas floods, death toll surpasses 100 with more rain expected and rescue efforts ongoing. It says Typhoon Danos kills two in Taiwan, while wildfires in Turkey and Syria prompt cross-border firefighting efforts. Yeah, Turkey got his eyes on Syria. So it's a whole problem. If you're watching, it's a whole problem. Trump just set his two men up. The guy from the Arab Emirates, right? And then you got the guy they put over in Syria that was ex Al Qaeda. Now he's an upstanding citizen of the public and whatnot. So that's the guy over there. So he got his two guys with him. But Turkey wants Syria. So that's going to be a problem for the people in Syria and Israel, right? So, that's brewing. But right now, Turkey's working with Syria because he wants to, support Syria. Anyway, it says Indonesia's volcanic eruption disrupts flights, sending ash 11 miles high. All right, let's grab some of that tempest and storm here. This is Isaiah 29:6. All these things is happening. And all these things are happening along with great wars, rumors of wars, pestilence, famines, upwards of the people. Is all here. Isaiah 29:6. This should comfort you because it's faithful and it's true and it's happening. Right? Isaiah 29:6, it says, Thou shalt be visited of the Lord Yahweh Bashmiah shall host with thunder and with earthquakes and great noise and with storm and tempest and the flame of devouring fire. Yeah. Even with these eruptions, volcanoes erupting, making fires, Syria is on fire, So point four says Russia-Ukraine war and global confidence. Russia claimed its first foothold in Ukraine's another region in Ukraine. And that's what they've been doing since the beginning. And that's all you see in the headlines. You don't see Ukraine being in any land. All you see Ukraine doing is Ukraine reports of destroying this amount of this, this amount of that. But it took, I guess, that amount of those vehicles for Russia to take this much of your land, and you don't have much land left. That's pretty much what's happening. So Russia is winning the war, right? And that's not good for America because that's very anti-American right there. It says Russia claimed its first foothold in Ukraine's region, marking a psychological blow to Kyiv. It says Ukraine reports destroying 40 Russian warplanes in drone strikes, while Russia launches its largest drone attack, 472 drones plus 7 missiles. Yeah, so they say you took out 40 of the 472, and what about the missiles? Ukraine at first, which was interesting, was going for the peace talks, with Vladimir Putin, and then America stepped in, right? The EU stepped in, and stopped him. And now most of all their men are dead over there. Women and children left alone. Point 5 says other key developments. Google's AI designed drugs are set to begin human trials. And what this is using artificial intelligence to help the process, make the process quicker, speed the process up, find key points, do it faster, do it quicker, whatnot. Google AI's designed drugs are set to begin human trials, but basically it was the AI that helped them come up with the drug. So they're going to, I guess, do human trials on the drug to make sure the actual ingredients or whatever the AI said, do this, do that, is working. So France investigates radioactive waste dump in the Atlantic with a mission to map 200,000 barrels of nuclear waste. Yeah, the Earth is being destroyed. Esau destroying the creation, right? The Lord has set up. He's not a good ruler. It says Australian woman convicted in a poisonous mushroom triple murder case. That's interesting. Let's see what it's saying to. And that'll be the last one. If I read this a little bit, it says Australian Erin Patterson was found guilty Monday of murdering 3 of her estranged husband's relatives by deliberately serving them poisonous mushrooms for lunch. Yeah, these women, bro, gotta watch out for them. Said the jury in the Supreme Court trial in Victoria State returned a verdict after 6 days of deliberations following a 9-week trial that gripped Australia. Patterson faces life in prison and will be sentenced later, but a date for the hearing hasn't been scheduled. Yeah, so she threw spirits created for vengeance. Most High Yahweh wanted those people out the way, and he used this female to do it, and now she out the way. All right, so they all through. On these last days, she's gonna die in that cave or that fort with hunger. And it was thing. Oh, spirits created for vengeance. You grab that. All right, Ecclesiasticus chapter 39. Right. In Ecclesiastes chapter 39 and 20, it says, there be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. Yahweh Bashmi Shai made everything and controls everything. Fire and hell and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. Teeth of wild beasts and scorpions, serpents, and the sword punishing the wicked to destruction. Right, so that's the time we're living in, the time of evil, right? Like Ezekiel chapter 7 goes into. But this is Ephesians 5 and 15. I'm going to end it off here. It says, Ephesians 5 and 15, see then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. Right, so Lord willing, edify from that news update. I say shalom to the Opelec, which consists of men, women, and children. Shalom.